Is it safe to turn religious in prison? What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Last night I was thinking of different topics, right? And one of the topics I really haven't touched on is religion in prison. I think I did talk about, well, I know I did talk about a specific individual one time coming to me saying that he wanted to become Christian. But today I want to talk about religion, period, right? There are Muslims in there. I remember seeing the Shia and the Sunni go at it on the yard in New Folsom. There are Christian services. There are Catholic services. There's Odin services. Odinists are in there. There's also Wicca. I think a lot of people on the streets don't know all the different, like, religious options, I guess you could say, that are in prison. But it's afforded by the United States Constitution, right? Now, is it frowned upon to become religious? That's where it gets sticky, right? There's a term in there. There's actually two terms. By the way, there's also the Sweat Lodge for the Native Americans. That's their religion. And there are two terms in there that you'll hear. Hiding behind the Bible or hiding behind the feather. I've never heard hiding behind the Quran or any other term. Maybe that is a thing with the blacks. I don't know. But you will hear hiding behind the Bible and hiding behind the feather. Not everybody does. Hiding behind the feather is guys that, you know, they on the streets that were Southerners or that were Northerners. Then they hit the joint and they don't want to be a part of the politics. So they run Native American. My thing is, if they have the bloodline and that's what they choose to do, go do that. You know, I remember seeing dudes where, I remember one in particular, he hit the yard and he was saying he was a homie this, homie that. And then within the first month on the yard, he started running Native. And I remember there was talks of whacking him because when he hit the yard, he said he was a homie, right? But we're not going to get into all that. I want to get into the fact that me personally, I'm going to tell you personally, religion is not something to be played with. I've personally seen dudes behind those walls that were straight up killers, gangsters. And they turn to the Lord. And every time it's real, I promise you, every time it's real, you see it in their eyes. Because they go from having those dark, dead eyes to a light that's unexplainable. There's a shine in their eyes when they do give themselves to God and they're sincere about it. And you can see in the way they conduct themselves, the way they talk, everything. But it's always the eyes that'll give it away, right? Now, there are dudes in there that, you know, for whatever reason, they're unhappy with whatever's going on in their lives, and they choose to go to God, right? And in my experience, I've never seen a homie tell someone, nah, hell no, Holmes, you can't be going to church. How is somebody going to do that? You know, if you guys saw the other video, I gave the dude advice and I said, listen, if you're thinking about becoming Christian, then that means you're not dedicated to this thing right here 100%. And if you ain't dedicated to this thing 100%, you're going to get ate up. So go on and do your thing. But I told him, you will have eyes all over you. If you get a bag of wine in your cell, everybody's going to find out. You get some dope, everybody's going to find out. And then there's going to be consequences, you know. And the ones that are real about it, they go and they do their thing. They mind their own business. And then, you know, that's between them and God, right? That said, I also want to point out that I had cellies and neighbors. I was in pods with dudes or on tiers with dudes who were very, very dangerous, very dedicated to doing the things that are done behind those walls. And every morning, before they buzz down, do their workout, they would devote at least 30 minutes to reading scripture. And I know to a lot of people that sounds strange. They're like, what? And that's the real deal. These dudes would not hesitate to take your head off, but they still had a relationship with God. Whatever relationship you could have. I was the same way in there. I read scripture. I didn't read it every single day like a lot of these dudes did. But I formed my own belief system when it came to God and religion. And I had Sally's. I remember I had Sally. Me and this dude used to bump heads on a lot of stuff. But I think it was his way of figuring out my way of thinking, right? And he told me, how is it that someone can be Christian in prison but still run with the homies and justify what they do? And I told him, my belief system is, it's the intent in your heart. Whenever you do anything, doesn't matter what it is, the intent in your heart when you're doing it is what makes it a sin and not. And I know there's going to be people that are going to say, how could you stab somebody and not have ill intent? You'd be surprised. There's a lot of dudes in there that are willing to stab somebody. Like I always say, there's a saying in there, better him than me. A dude will whack you, and in his mind, he's saying to himself, man, why you make me do this to you? But better him than me. And so dudes will do the work they got to do. And the ones that read their Bible believe that they pray for their victim and ask for forgiveness themselves. Religion doesn't make you a punk. Religion doesn't make you a coward. Religion gives you understanding. So, like I was saying, not everybody's willing to go to that chapel, go to those religious services. But they hold services within their own cell, within their own heart, and have a private relationship with God. I don't know why last night it hit me that I should tell this story, but I think that people need to know that. I think with the way the world is going right now, with what's going on, I think it's important that we do build a personal relationship with God. Those of you that don't want to go to church, I get it. Start small, but be honest. It's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.